Hey guys, what's up? It's me, Ro, again, and I'll just call this being on a rant. So, I'm still posting some videos that I had loaded up, just sharing my thoughts. And today,
please bear next right.
A guy came in, and let me tell you, I was gonna delete 2 of my videos before he came in, and I'm gonna touch the basis on what it means to be part of human services. Okay? Since the dawn of time, people have had needs and desires. Okay? So the first face of all families was the father. And when he got married, his wife was a support system, okay? What ended up happening is that the wife handled a lot of responsibilities for children, her husband, and the household. You could say thus that the wife was the first person in the services business. And I mean, everybody can agree that what a woman has done and what women do for us overall within the last 11 millennia, or whatever, depends on how you look at it, is phenomenal. And it's not something that can just be put down. It's not something that you can just attack. Okay? Now the thing is that when your children grow up, historically your children stayed within a distance enough to be able to see you, unless they to be able to assist with the growing of the land and becoming prosperous, especially for necessity of trade. Now, the only times that this changed is when we became nomadic, and historically, a common nomad is Abraham. Another nomad is Jacob, his descendant. Basically, they branched out and separated and spread out, and they became nomadic peoples. So now, family is not the only person you're dealing with. You're dealing with strangers, okay? In the Bible, it talks about when Lot was taken during a war. Now, Abraham dwelt in Hebron, but Abraham was not Hebrew by bloodline. Even though people try to push that Hebrew stuff, I mean, you take it how you want to take it. Abraham was called Hebrew because he dwelt in Hebron by Mamre and Eshcol. Okay, so when it was time to go get Lot, his nephew, Abraham armed everybody in his household. And not only everybody in his household, but he had his homeboys, who actually are supposed to be declared our enemies to this day. Means to tell you that we make our own enemies or whatnot. But in this specific case, that was their society, okay? That was their kingdom, that was their land, you know what I'm saying? So whoever was within their society took responsibility for each other. Whether it was trade, whether it was food, or whether it meant it's time to go to war. These dudes armed up to get ready for battle, to slay the enemy. And the Bible never denotes that anybody got killed on Abraham's side. Not to say that it did, but let's say that they didn't, because it doesn't denote that. Anyway, when it was time, Abraham tithed 1/10 of the plunder, gave the anything that he could have kept back, and whatever the people who earned that was around him, they gave it to him. Unless he said, they can say that they made me rich and not Yah. Now, obviously, it's the Spirit who's dealing with that, because he wanted to prove 100% holy and surely that he was of the kingdom, that he was of Yah, and everything that he was doing was for and from Yah. However, in that case, from respect to what we believe today, you could kind of call Abraham a politician, if you will. Even though I don't like dealing with politics, and I don't really like the thought process of merging politics with the Bible. You want to talk to some people who do believe that. There's some Karaites out there, black Karaites out there, called that practice what they call biblical communism. I don't touch that, but I love them dudes. They're pretty cool. One of them on the line, I think, is Blue Ixby. So check him out on Facebook, and you want to know more about that, he can let you know, because they doing it up in their own way, in their view. Anyway, as a politician, he was responsible for the people that was around him, Abraham. So they had certain needs, okay? Another example of this was when Jethro, also known as Ruel, talked to Moses, all right? And he said, Moses, basically, don't put everything on your head. Declare some elders, some judges, a group of people to be able to decide matters within the people, okay? Now, if you look at Deuteronomy chapter 1, I think in chapter 2, while Moses wrote his own biography, he explains to you what this group was and how it was divided, okay? Now, back to human services. In a society, people have needs. They need to be served in certain ways. Sometimes things are not as easy as we state that they are. So what happens is that things need to be divvied up on a basis of what the person's needs is. One person might not be able to handle everything for an individual, especially if they're not related, it's obvious. But I mean, from mental perspective, even in the ministry, there's a division of different things based on the Spirit of God. That means that certain people can't do what you do, all right? So, in our world, when you're dealing with people, it's a human service, all right? It could be anything, dealing with a human being, as far as providing needs on the basis of your society, your government, okay? Some examples of human services that you might deal with is a child counselor, a group counselor, probation officer, juvenile guards, the guys who work inside the prisons. Social services that people commonly know about is child welfare services. You don't want them to knock on your door, but sometimes people need them, all right? 911 call operators, crisis operators, lawyers, doctors can tend to be on that end too, because they got to deal with your heart, especially if you got a disease that's incurable, like cancer, or you got to deal with AIDS, or maybe what is it? Syphilis, something like that nature. You might need a counselor, and the doctor's the first person there. The nurses are there first, okay? Police officers, human services, they're supposed to have the mentality to take care of the people and to be able to talk to you. And the person that's supposed to be at the top of the game in the police force, whenever it comes to talking to anybody, is the negotiator. He's supposed to be at the top of his A-class game when it comes to being able to deal with people in the human services arena. Here's a fact when it comes to dealing with anyone in the human service arena. We are all human. At some point, we prick, we break, we bleed. There's only so much stuff that we could take and pretend to be numb, and then we crack ourselves. See what I'm saying? Now, as for my other videos, I've talked about the things I dislike in ministry. I've talked about the things that I don't see happening in ministry. But let me tell you something. There are people out there that have tried to do the righteous thing at the same time, but when leadership themselves don't have that office and they try to dictate and try to control, and the Spirit ain't leading them, you can destroy other people in your fall, in your lack of understanding. You know what I'm saying? Time and time again, I've heard people that's made some righteous moves and steps, and scripturally down the line, I've seen them do things that I could not deny was God, and had me like, Father, am I actually in the way I need to do? Show me your will and way, direct my path, and help me to move towards you. At some point, as humans, the weight's too much. That's why the Bible says, cast thy burden to the Lord. It also tells the brothers and sisters to make sure you carry your cross, or maybe to carry the burdens of your brothers and sisters, lest it causes you to sin. Okay? This is a factor, man. Now, there's things in the Bible that are written that the Father hates. The fringes that we wear, if you believe that you should be wearing fringes, which I do, it means that I shall not live for my own pleasure, that I shall obey the commandments of the Father and not do my own way. All right, so that means the law, it reminds you of the laws of Moses and your duty to the kingdom of heaven according to your life. The life is no longer your own. You are a natural living sacrifice, holy and pleasing unto God. That's it. You are for the Lord's pleasure, not for your own. So, there's things that talk about everything in moderation, which we lack an ability to do in a lot of cases. And as a result of not being able to do everything in moderation, we get sick, okay? But then you got things called vices. These vices are what we have to try to please us so that we can be able to, what we think, cope with the next day. All right? Sex, drugs, liquor, which is still considered a drug in my opinion in some cases, music, videos, radio. There's lots of things out there that we can do. Fighting, clubbing. These are things that we do to try to kind of let loose. Some people, they can do it a little bit and then they can be fine and be able to move on. Some people, it becomes of an addiction, especially when they have so much stress and frustration that there's no other thing that has brought them peace in their mind and understanding. Rather, it's quite the contrary. It's still not working. Maybe I should do it more often on a regular basis until I'm fulfilled. As a result, it destroys your life. That becomes the most important thing in your life. Gambling, wow, big one. Stealing, wow, big one. These are things that we have done. That we should stop doing because, you know, and we keep doing it. And the fact remains therein is that we come at an impasse where we need to be able to understand that people in the human services industry, despite the evil that some of them have done, need to be able to get human services of their own. A person who's hearing about kids cutting their arms and killing themselves and drinking and drugging themselves and being raped and molested all the time, at some point, it's got to give. They need to be able to lash out and vent themselves, because they're taking up on the weight of so many people that they're going to start sinning. This is why you have the ministries. This is why you have believers, so they can lighten the load for you when you are in that point. Those dudes, sometimes they may not need to work the rest of the week. They might need to take a week or two off. Maybe they need to be able to not have to deal with the responsibilities of their world. Maybe they need prayer and fasting or reading, or it's okay, or have a designated protector for a couple of days out the week, where somebody's out there looking out for their interests and only their interests and protects them from harming themselves. You know what I'm saying? We take this whole entire scripture thing too lightly. And what's happening is that we, as a group of people, and I know it's dark, are harming each other and losing out on the things that we were supposed to get from the promise. More people are falling away from the word of God. More people are giving up. More people are losing hope. Some people, it actually brought them to God. A lot of other people, they become doubters of the kingdom of heaven. So this whole hierarchy of human services is very, very important. What it means is that if you do not make sure that the people that you run to in the event of emergency are cared for themselves because they are human, then you might not get the true care that you deserve later on down the line. The fact is that human services is the most underlooked industry in the United States of America. One, because of the education that they should have. Two, the spiritual connection that they should have. And three, which really is the same thing as two, the sociological and psychological manifestations that occur in their life as a result of what they go through on a regular basis need to be addressed. They're human, just like us. They need assistance. And I'm not saying when one of these dudes do something to cast a blind eye, but you want to get the same judgment across the board. And the truth is that the same way you want to say a black man shouldn't go through this or should go through that, or the white, Indian, yellow, red, brown, black, orange, green, from Mars, purple, from Pluto, whatever you think that this is. Everybody needs the same care and love. You know what I'm saying? Everybody needs the same care and love. And at this moment and point, I've seen it happen too much. I know too many people in these industries that are on drugs, that go through addictions, that get into health crises, that get sick after they retire. It's a lot of stuff, man. Backs getting injured by taking care of your mother and your father because you don't want to deal with it, but you don't understand that they need better pay, or they need better tax deductibles, or they need to be able to have as many people to lean on for themselves as possible. The average person likes to tell people about themselves, likes to make people think they're wrong all the time, likes to judge people and correct to other people. In reality, when the time comes for their own judgment and correction, they ain't willing to go through that. They don't want to hear that. All they want to hear is that my stuff was done, my stuff was taken care of, it ain't none of your business, I'm better than you. There's a lot of people out there like that. When you have worked with these people, you will know. When you've dealt with them, you know. They can't hear them wrong, but they love to correct. Now, with these people who take on the burdens of many people, there are people out there that they've tried to rely on. Really, they know better, but they still do it just because. And as a result of this, they've gone through things to the point that they crash and burn. They give up. And sometimes you can catch it and fix it, and then sometimes it's just too late. Again, I know a lot of people like this. And it caused me to go around about and question every single thing that's written about our way. Thought I was checking it and making sure I was right first time. I wanted to know why this is falling, because I was giving up in 2008, 2009. Holy Spirit's talking to me, and I'm like, God, I know you're right, but I don't want to. And that's just it. That's sad. That's extremely sad that you're going to lose your life and your relationship with the Father, that we're going to lose an excellent soldier in this war against the darkness, all because of the fact that we could not extend ourselves without causing ourselves to sin. That's the clear point that the word says, to our brothers and sisters. That's a problem, people. When things go down and when laws get passed and when people ignore things, a lot of times it can be a spoiled diplomat or a spoiled aristocrat or a spoiled politician or unkept governor or something like that. Yeah, it could be all those things. But sometimes, dude might be tired. Lady might be tired. And they didn't have those people looking out for them the way that we desire people to look out for us. And as a result, they do things to cause more harm than good. It's a psychological aspect of it. That's why while you can't trust this government, while I think you can't trust the military, that doesn't mean you don't love up on a person who is military. That means you don't love up. That doesn't mean you don't love up on somebody who is a politician. That doesn't mean that you don't love up on a police officer. That means you don't love up. That doesn't mean you don't love up on a fireman or a teacher or anything else like that. It's your duty. You are part of the kingdom of heaven, for crying out loud. Show some gumption, man. Get this right for the last time, man. These are our responsibilities. This is our way. Without true believers doing the things that they need to do for the brethren, we will get absolutely nowhere. We need this. We need this. We need this. Our doctors, in order to go to become a doctor, have to pay thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars in education, in books. And then after they do that, they need to take all these tests that they got to pay for. Then after they do that, they got to get the building. After they do that, they got to get a medical bonding and get malpractice insurance. And they still got to pay out employees. Some doctors make it, some doctors don't. Some doctors have left the field because of the stresses of the bills and finances. They're not good managers, and it costs, frankly, too much money to actually do this. Now, the people who complain about healthcare all the time and all this other stuff, why is it that we don't go out and elevate our doctors so that we don't have to deal with all those insurance rates? Why is it that we're not paying for chemist education and taking care of our chemists? You know what I'm saying? These are things that we don't think about. We don't research and develop. The education of a people is a necessity for the growth of a kingdom, a growth of a settlement, a growth of a society, and developing and protecting those minds, defending those minds against the forces of evil, not just in the physical, but in the spiritual or in the mental, is a danger. It's a danger not to take care of this. It's pivotal that you see that this must occur. Sure, we got a lot of spoiled, ignorant, stubborn brats in this world. Whether it be black, white, Asian, Chinese, whatever, sure. But for God's sakes, the same way you want to be protected, you should protect. Do unto others as you shall have them do unto you. For this is what was taught to the prophets, in a nutshell, to the scribes, in a nutshell, to the preachers, to the priests, in a nutshell, to our forefathers, in a nutshell, to the princes, in a nutshell. This was what was said. This is why they had to write down the laws of Moses and memorize all of them. The whole entire thought process was necessity for Yah, but it was also a purification of a people and a desire to care and intercede for a people. This is the development of intercession. True intercession, unblemished, is designed to protect and sacrifice and forfeit everything and anything necessary except for sinning against the Father. That's your only limit. To do this, some have become eunuchs in the physical as well as in the spirit for the sake of protecting the kingdom of heaven's interests at heart. And some have pretended to be eunuchs and raped little kids. We know who they are. And for them, we know that God's going to handle that. Anyway, back to our show. Those sacrifices that some of these people take and are lonely and are alone when they go through these things is a shame. It's a shame. We gotta fix that, people. There's not too much I can say on this. If you didn't get that, write me at biblicalninjas@gmail.com. Go to Biblical Ninjas website. Post on this post on Black Empowerment. Do something. But let's not sit on this. We got to get this rolling. Because they dying. And we got to save them. Because they are the greatest of us. Necessity in protecting all that we possess that is great in this world. And I'm not talking about money. I'm talking about the future generations. Our future bloodlines. Our future princes and princesses. It's pivotal that we embrace the necessity of these people. If we don't do it, then we're going to lose them. It's going to be too late. And all that we fought so much for over these years won't mean anything because you'll be too busy fixing all these problems that you created by not applying yourselves to people in the grounds of empathy. You gotta have a sincerity to love one another as you desire to be loved. If there's nothing that we learn other than that, it's to be able to have that sincere love for one another, to be able to get things done for each other. Why? Why not? Why not? You know? If you want something done, gotta show love. Show them love. Rome wasn't built in a day, this is true. But these people need our help. And the reason why they need our help so much is because we need their help so much. And we didn't cast our burdens onto these people until they started sinning on a massive level. Levels that we can't really understand will not even be fed in this life or the next. And actually will deem them unfit for the kingdom of heaven. But how many of us will be unfit for the kingdom of heaven for not looking out for their best interests at heart as well? This is something that we have to ask ourselves. You know, it's easy to judge a man for killing our people. It's another thing for being able to make sure that we prevent any future killings of our people by making sure we protect the men and women of the future. On the way to work one day, I was driving, and while I was driving, I saw a whole bunch of kids running. And those kids were wearing outfits that were all yellow. And you know what it said on it? Police force. And so you gotta ask yourself, if these kids were wearing these things, and they were out there doing it, what were their minds like before they became the policemen? Why did they want to be policemen now? Was everything handled for them from the time they were 18 to the time that they were born right? Will they be able to make the right decisions? Will they hear everything that they need to hear when they start the police force? This I don't know. And unless we're willing to take the initiative to make sure that those minds were protected to begin with, we probably about to get another 30 to 50, 30 to 70, 90 to 100 darn police officers that are devilish and don't care about nobody else but themselves and their own desires. And Again, we will be the ones to blame for this because we did not develop their minds. We gave up on them before they came out the gate. And that right there, that whole thought process right there will be our faults. So when they kill somebody unwarranted, whether it's a black police officer or a white police officer, and we start running our mouths, I pray we remember that they were once children and we had a chance and an option to be able to raise them the best we could as a kingdom, and we failed them. So when you send that person to jail, send yourself to jail. I'm out.